Hey guys, what's up? Derek with Risen Racing Off-Road. Today we're in the shop and we're going to take this $5 drill press that I picked up at an estate auction that had no drill press table on it, and we're going to fab up a drill press table with some scrap steel we got laying around the shop. Here we go. So here's the plan. I've got some old drive shaft tubing. I have this piece of C-channel. I'm thinking about putting a radius on this and butting this up into the drive shaft tube. It'll be about right here, into the drive shaft tube, welding it onto there, and then I will split the drive shaft tube and put a nut and a bolt on one side. And then what I will do to adjust is I will loosen that nut and then slide the table up and down on the drill press and then tighten it back down. So that's my plan right now. I'm gonna figure out how long I wanna make this, radius this tubing or this C-channel out, and see if I can't get it all put together on the press, and we'll test it out and see if it works. All right, so I think I'm gonna mark this tube starting out to give myself enough surface area. I think I'm probably gonna make it maybe 5 to 6 inches tall. Probably gonna start at 6. I can always cut the tube down if it's causing me issues with moving the, sliding the tube up and down the drill press to give myself enough room. So when you're marking tube, especially larger diameter tube, it gets a little hard to make your line true and straight. So I just grabbed a piece of sandpaper, pre-cut sandpaper that I have so that I know the edge is straight. And I'm just going to go around this, kind of line up my edges and get myself on my 6-inch mark here. And then that way I know I've got a true line all the way around my tubing. All right, now it's time to cut. I'll have to chase that under the workbench. So I got my 6-inch piece cut. It is ready to, and again, this is what I'll split, and I'll weld this C-channel onto the front of, and then split and put the nut on there, and then have the bolt, go through the nut so I can be able to tighten down a secondary nut on the outside. The tubing's cut. It's time to work with the grinder and cut off wheel for a while. All right, so I got my tube all cleaned up and shined up and ready to go, and I'm gonna fit it in here. Obviously, I wanna make sure that my angle is 90 degrees, so my table is coming out good and flat. You could obviously use something like a speed square if you wanted to. The issue with that is you're gonna try to hold this, hold the tube, hope that you can get a tack and hold everything and get that. So that will work in a pinch. The better thing is to pick up some of these 90-degree magnets. These things are awesome. I have a bunch of different sizes of them. This is the larger one. I think this is maybe the 6-inch magnet. So you can drop that thing right on there, and you can put your tube in, get your tube at the height that you want. You can adjust it and center it all up, and then the tube stays put, which is what you're looking for. And then I can run my tacks in here on the side and then double check my square on everything and make sure that it all looks like I want. So that's my plan now, is to get the tube to fit like I want and put a few tack welds on it and see how I can progress from there. So the next part of what I'm planning to do is, there's 2 little set screws on the side right here, and so I just grabbed a little Allen wrench that I had in the toolbox, and I'm gonna undo these 2 set screws, and my thought is this should move like it does, and then I should be able to pick this whole mechanism up off of the pole here. And the plan now is to try to take this heavy thing off of here and get it out of the way and start shining up this pole here and see if we can make it work. It's heavy. All right, perfect. So it worked. I was hoping there wasn't some sort of flange or set screw up there in the top and I was gonna fight and not be able to get it. But as you can see right now, we're good to go. And clean this whole tube up as best I can and go from there. All done. My workshop looks like a Def Leppard concert right now. There's smoky haze everywhere. So I'm gonna open the doors, kick the ceiling fans on and see if I can't get some of this dust out of here. So I ran into a little snag. Nothing we can't overcome. So my tube that I have is a little bit smaller than the actual diameter, probably about, when you do the measurements, probably about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch. And so my original plan was, and still is, to split the tube, but once I split this tube, I need it to flare open to slide over the pole that supports the motor on the drill press. Well, the problem is I radiused my stand here for this tube and not for this tube. So no big deal. It's kind of part of home fabbing when you don't really have plans for anything and you don't find something like this on the internet. You kind of just have to work through stuff and try it, and sometimes you have to back up and grind your weld off and try again. So I'm going to grind my tacks off and I'm going to radius this C-channel to this tubing here and then even open it up a touch more, so I know once I open up my drive shaft tubing I will have plenty of room to be able to fit down and make this move. So I was able to get the radius to fit fairly well and have a decent gap, or not very much of a gap, I guess you'd say, so that I can put a good weld onto that. So I've got the tube split. I have this radius correct, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the vise and take the welder and put a few tacks on this, take it over and test it and see if it will fit on the tube. All right, so here we go. We're going to check it and see if it works. So this looks fantastic. So now instead of finish welding it yet, I'm gonna go ahead and try to build my clamping mechanism. All right, so here's my plan. I've got this 1 inch by 1 inch square tubing. So I'm going to weld this here, and then I have a piece of all thread. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the all thread after I weld this. I don't know if you can see it because of my hands. And I'm going to weld the all thread on top of, and then I'll put another piece of square steel on the other side, and I will weld the nut to the other side and then have a free moving nut on the outside, so that the all thread is welded to one side and the nut is welded to the other, so that when you tighten down, this all thread will start to squeeze and clamp this pipe together. So that's my plan for right now. So I'm going to cut up this square tubing, cut up this all thread, and see if I can't get this to work. All right, so I got the square tubing cut, got it shined up, surface rust knocked off of it. Gonna clamp, gonna tack weld these to the C-channel, and then cut my all thread to fit between this space right here, and that's what will actually clamp and pull these two pieces of square tubing together and clamp down on the old piece of drive shaft tubing. Okay, so I got my all thread cut to the length I want. I had this old kind of wider nut setting here that was big enough to slide onto the all thread. I may come back and drill that out just so there's no chance of the threads catching, but for now I'm just going to tack everything together. Okay, so I've slid it down onto the stand. This is kind of the initial look of how it is. Again, all just tacked together right now. But so far, I'm able to take my 3/4 wrench over here and snug it. And I don't have it cinched down really hard because all it is tacked together. But right now, so far, it's holding really, really well. And I know once I weld it, I can really pull down on that all thread with that 3/4 wrench and really get it tight. So right now it looks like I'm ready to fully weld this, get all my seams welded up, fully weld this nut to it, and then I'm ready to work on my table. Okay, so I got the table tacked together right now. It's just made out of angle iron, so it's not anything fancy, but I can put a piece of sheet steel over this now, and I can put that over, and that will add. I still think I'm gonna probably come back and put some sort of support, maybe get another piece of angle iron, put a support under here just to help this front edge so the whole thing carrying the weight isn't just back here on these welds. But so far it's turned out okay. That's be this working surface of the table. So yeah, we're gonna see if we can get the top to cover this thing and get a little bit closer to getting finished. All right guys, check it out. We have a drill press table made with adjustment and a good working area. Yeah, so we're ready to go throw it on the drill press, put it all back together, and see if this thing does what we hoped it would do from the beginning, which is hold our steel so we can drill. Check that out, not even tightened up, and it's holding well. So that's awesome. So now let's put the actual motor and assembly back on, and then we're gonna throw a piece of sheet steel on here or something, and we're gonna throw a drill bit in there, and we're gonna try this thing out. All right, first official test. We're going to see, I just grabbed some of that, like I said, I think it's probably about 3/16, maybe 1/4 inch thick square tubing that I had used. I grabbed that, threw a clamp on it, went ahead and I've got my back tightened down, and I've got the front. I need to tighten it up a little bit more so the table doesn't move. So I've got the front tightened down and the back tightened down. Table feels good and solid, so we're gonna drill this and see what happens. So there you have it, guys. $5, couple hours worth of work in the shop, and I got a functional drill press. Don't be intimidated by projects like this. A lot of time, just a little bit of thought process, working through some things, looking online, getting some inspiration, and you can take something that might be a throwaway tool for most people and make it something usable for you. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe here at Risen Racing Off-Road. Check us out on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Risen Racing Off-Road. Thanks for watching.